Andrew, how long has it been now since Trump has been in power? Because it's not 50 days, is it?
No, I think it's about 60 days now. So
60 days.
Yeah, it's about 60, 65 days. I'm not sure about the last 4 or 5 days. It's gone very quiet, but certainly the first 50 days were a roller coaster.
And it's felt like 50 years.
Oh, absolutely. I think, 50 years is an understatement. It feels like there has been no other president. It feels like this is what was America.
Yeah.
All the time.
Control Alt Delete. Let's start again. Let's reboot the computer. So obviously the YouTube channels are completely overwhelmed with so many Trump. I mean, it's interesting media. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's do our spin on the last 50 days. So you prepared something, haven't you, Andrew?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of put it into segments so that we've got these sort of bullet points of the main things. I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't everything. This is just the main thing that's jumped out at me, and I'd love to go through them and just to hear your thoughts as well, because I think some of it is outrageous and some of it is unbelievable. So I hope you like my little presentation here.
I love it.
Yeah.
I see. Did you generate that AI image?
Yeah, AI image. Yep, I put it in there, and it took a few goes, but I got there in the end.
You generated this yourself?
Generated it, as in put the description in and all that stuff. If that's what you mean.
You need to teach. So this is an Andrew AI original.
This is an original. You can buy this.
All right. Okay. Cool. Then let's jump into this.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. So you decided to start off with a heavy dish.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, my initial reaction, right, was, what the effing hell? This is just out of order. This is not how people behave. This is not how a president should behave. And JD was just poking the bear all the time. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah,
right?
I did. I've watched it like maybe 15 times.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm thinking, they're just picking on this guy. They've brought him in to humiliate him. But then I think, Mency, you know what? He doesn't do himself any favours. First of all, English is not your first language, right? And he sounds a bit like Borat when he speaks, and that's no offence, right? But that's how he speaks. It's not very good, and I know he's trying. But get an interpreter so your message is clear and crisp, and there's no grey areas.
Andrew, this is why I'm pretty infused about this one, because when you first said, oh, let's do a 50-day wrap up, I was like, oh, the whole market is completely engulfed in this. Like, we're just gonna get drowned out. Actually, old news is sometimes good to revisit because this one has aged in a very strange way.
Yep.
You're right. When I watched it the first day, I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? What do you mean, what have I done? So, Andrew, you're no stranger to this. We're actually politically polar opposites to some degree. Right?
We are a little bit.
I actually wanted Kamala Harris to lose. I wanted Trump to win. I do believe that the political landscape needs a different approach, because I generally thought that if we carried on the Joe Biden approach, where it was all fluffy language and no specific things to keep things the same, that we were going to crash anyway. And I actually was saying Trump will be good for business and the economy.
Right.
And then this happened, and I went, oh my God, I got duped. I've been duped by right-wing media. What the hell have I done? I almost felt responsible for voting for him, even though I didn't vote for him, because I was do you know what I'm trying to say? Because I was rooting for this guy to win, and I thought, oh my God, I've gone and done it. I've got conned like the rest of the American the voter base, right? That was my initial reaction, and honestly, I was concerned for about 4 or 5 days straight. But now that we're how many weeks has it been since this fiasco's happened now? 3 weeks?
I think it's been 4 weeks almost.
Okay. Andrew, you're right. Now that the dust has settled, and I've looked at this guy, this performance, because that's the only thing I can call it. It's a performance. I'm starting to see the holes in Zelensky.
Yeah.
You're right. He turned up unprepared.
Absolutely.
Okay. He turned up unprepared. They attacked him on his dress sense. Surely he knew that was we're talking about a country here. A country with a political team behind him.
Yep.
All sorts. This guy has had plenty of time to explain his dress sense.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen Trump outside of a suit?
No. Let's put that aside for 1 second here, because that we know. But the fact is this: he started wearing military uniform.
Yeah.
As to why he's wearing military uniform.
Yeah.
So the first thing that happens is he sits down, he gets challenged by, I don't know, someone.
I think it was a planted reporter. Basically, it was a planning
Exactly,
question. Yeah.
saying, "Hey, you're not wearing a suit. Why did you not wear a suit?" He's had plenty of time to practice the narrative of explaining why he's not wearing a suit.
Yep.
And in fact, he had the Churchill statue right behind him,
Yeah.
and Churchill also wore military gear.
He did. Yep.
So I expect a political leader to almost game theory everything that's going to be targeted at him, because he's been at this now for what? How old is this war now? What, 3 years?
3 years now. 3 years. Yeah.
He's had enough time to refine this story as to why he wears gear.
Yeah.
So it was another kind of opportunity for him to re-educate the nation.
Yeah.
As to why he's doing things in a certain way he is. That's one thing that comes up to me. The next thing that came up to me was this. So as J.D. Vance was speaking and talking about the deal and how with peace and you're not grateful and this and that, he had so much time to think and plant a question. I would have said, "Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your efforts."
Yep.
How are you currently structuring that deal to ensure long-lasting peace?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let the person who is giving so much detail bury themselves into a hole. But he didn't do that.
No.
He started waffling about, but you don't understand. We've worked.
What we're going through, you'll feel the same pain, blah, blah, blah.
And he just proceeded to dig himself into a situation. This is complex. My initial reaction was anger, disgust, and worry. And now I'm like, maybe Trump was right on this one.
Yeah. Well, you know what? In my opinion, and whether it's right or wrong, right? Trump was very prepared. He had a target, and that was the mineral deal. He knew how he was going to go about it, and Zelensky fell for the bait. No, he fell for the bait. It wasn't pretty.
He didn't just fall for the bait. He accelerated the collapse. He basically revealed the whole of Europe's weakness.
And the outcome of it is like Trump saying, well, okay, you know, you think you're the tough guy, and he said that there. I'm going to freeze the military aid. I'm going to freeze the intelligence, and let's see how you get on. And you know what? It was only a couple of days, and it wasn't very nice. Wasn't very nice at all.
So, in hindsight, after 65 days, after everyone said their piece and been disgusted and whatnot, was this a win for Trump? Was it a sign of strength for America or a sign of weakness for America?
I think it was a sign of strength.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, initially, no. You know, we all jumped on the bandwagon. We were outraged. I mean, I certainly was. I thought it was disgusting, except I felt really sorry for Zelensky. But going back on it now,
he was unprepared.
Absolutely.
He overexposed himself in a situation where millions of lives were at stake.
Yeah. Well, I think you said the right word there earlier on, was prepare. I don't think he was prepared. I don't think he was prepared in any shape or form. And sometimes I have to question his judgment as well. Before going to the White House, I think it was about 3 weeks before or whatever, he was in Turkey, schmoozing the Turkish president. And again, you know, if he'd have prepared and did some research, he would have known surely that the Turkish president's got a really good relationship with Russia, and he's not going to start giving you arms and put that relationship at risk. And if he does, he's going to want something massive in return. We felt sorry for him, and it was the right reaction at the time. Going back on it, I've certainly changed my mind, and I know you have. But the sad thing about it is that in between that time and them coming back to the table, people died.
Of course. I mean, by the way, you know, I don't want to belittle this subject.
No, absolutely.
But we as people need to learn. The fact of the matter is, I was outraged. And now I'm like, which means I need to take my bloody time in making conclusive decisions, because this is bigger than me. This is, if you find, for anyone who's bothered to watch this, if you find yourself in an absolute position in such a complex subject, you're probably wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I've learned about this. Right, let's go on.
Good way to end on that one.
There's next one, trade wars. Oh, Lord. Okay. Tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada. Okay. Andrew, go for it.
Trump has always been threatening tariffs since, well, before he got elected. It was part of his campaign, and the message was, we need to put tariffs on these people so we can protect American jobs, we can protect American business and industry, etc. And again, like you, I thought, you know what, that makes sense. let's make imports more expensive so we can encourage people to buy British or buy American, and then the outcome of that is going to be more manufacturing, etc. But there are just certain things that you can't manufacture. Basically, I don't think he counted on the Canadians having a pair of balls on them, right? And the same with the Mexicans, and also the same with Europe. So he's pushing the Canadians closer to Europe. China's just like saying, bring it on. We don't care. I listened to a really good speech by Ronald Reagan, believe it or not, all about tariffs back when he was president. And the way he articulated why tariffs are not a positive thing for the economy, including things like making American industry lazy because you don't have competition, so you don't have to innovate. Again, another thing where I've thought, well, you know what, yeah, fundamentally, buy British, we should all make things in Britain, and, you know, we shouldn't import, etc., etc. But looking back at it, all you're doing is driving away your partners, your local partners, your friends and allies, and hurting your own people by driving prices up.
I think the only thing that he's done is open up people's minds on trade as a whole. Like you know, we've had free trade for so long that we've actually forgotten what the mechanics behind free trade, international trade is like. One thing that struck me, because I was saying this in some of our old podcasts, especially the ones around the electric vehicle industry. Do you remember where I was talking about China? Yeah. I thought that Trump would come in and only attack China. And I thought that tariffs against China was definitely warranted. What I didn't realize was that China have such a large market outside of the US that it doesn't matter. It's a shot in the foot. So when he attacked Mexico, in fact, the first, and this is why I'm proud of being Colombian, the first country that was attacked with tariffs was
Colombia.
Colombia. Yeah. Okay.
And why was that, Minsu? Why was that?
So the official reason was because we turned away a plane load of illegal immigrants, right? Yeah. But when it happened, I was so embarrassed, Andrew. I was so embarrassed. Lord knows I was embarrassed to be Colombian those 4 long ass days, right? And many of us were embarrassed because our president went, "We're not taking it. Yeah. We're not taking the thingy, and Trump can sort off, and we'll just reciprocate the tariffs." And we just went, "Come off it, Petro," right? Come off it. What the hell are we gonna tariff? Okay, coffee, whatever, but our GDP is so insignificant that it's a waste of bloody time. And then one of the opposition leaders, who happens to be the governor of Medellin, he went, "Oh, we hate our president. Like, how dare he do that? He's such a hothead. We're going to fly all the governors in Colombia to the White House and beg Trump for forgiveness," kind of thing, right? And say that this is not our president kind of situation. And I went, yeah, great idea. Sod our president, because he's a socialist president.
Right.
And then, again, time worked its thing. And then it was, it's now happening to Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, what, Canada? Yeah. What's Canada got to do with this?
Yeah.
And then,
Europe.
Like, this reminded me of Pablo Escobar. Do you know what his downfall was? He was so powerful, but his downfall was he picked too many wars at the same time.
Right.
So he was fighting the DEA.
Yeah.
He was fighting the Cali cartel and all of his rivals, and he was also fighting his own cartel that he started to create conflicts with. So he had 3 distinct enemies, pooling their resources together to take him down. And that's how Pablo Escobar's demise eventually happened. Well, that's what Trump's done.
It's exactly what he's done. He has
fired too many cylinders at the same time.
Yep.
Because if he would have done what he did with Colombia and then said, "I'll do it to Mexico as well," and then I'll pivot directly to China, and then work that for a quarter or 2, he would be holding all the cards. But the fact that he's gone bullet to Canada, bullet to Mexico, right now we're going to do metal in Europe. Right, now we're going to do this, and now we're going to do that. Everyone's going, come off it. Because now all of his enemies can pull together.
Well, mate, I don't know if somebody didn't tell him, like, that somebody should have gone to him, "Excuse me, Mr. President, but do you realise that Canada provides all of the electricity for the East Coast? The Canadians have just gone, right, your electricity's just gone up by 25%. There you go.
And now if Canada joins with Europe and they come to an agreement of some, because this could still escalate.
Oh, yeah.
They come to an agreement and say, you know what, let's cut off America. Let's see who survives longer, because now it's Canada and Europe. Okay, it's still not the same as the GDP in America, but it's still significant.
It's close.
It's significant, right?
Yeah.
And then, so all these things come into play. So that's one thing that I've read. And then all of a sudden, Andrew, this shame that I had for being Colombian in those 4 days, now it's like, oh my God, our president looks like a bloody genius. Because what he did was, even though he did say, oh, okay, I'll take the plane after 3 business working days, the point is this. He sent out a tweet and he said, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. We'll hit him with reciprocal tariffs. And everyone laughed. And now the whole world is in the same position again. And now the opposition party, as much as I respect the opposition party in Colombia, they're going, oh crap, maybe our president had a point to start off with, because now he's not alone. Everyone else is feeling the same brunt. So another lesson that I've learned here, which is really tied to the first one, time. Time. Sometimes you just gotta nestle with your decision and let time happen. Like let time work its course. And the second thing that I'm learning here, which is going to the original point about my lack of understanding with international relations, is I automatically thought that Trump attacking Canada would mean that Canada would be favored by China, but China's also hit Canada with so how the hell does that work? Because I thought the enemy of my enemy was my friend.
I don't know, mate. It's very complex. But what I've got to say is, like you, I thought it would be, a very quick buckling and, somebody going kissing Trump's feet from Canada and saying, like, okay, we apologise, blah, blah, blah. But I think what did it for him is when he not only put the tariffs on, but then started going around saying, oh, yeah, we're going to take Canada. We're going to take them. We're going to make them part of the US. And people in Canada are just like, what the hell? Hang on a second. It's riled up the Canadians. For they're throwing American booze out in the bin, down the drain.
What I don't understand is, how did we go from China? How did we go from actually attacking our polar opposite China to... oh, let's warm up with all of our neighbours first.
Exactly.
That's the bit where...
exactly.
You should have hit your neighbours at the end.
Exactly.
Get the China job done.
Yeah.
And then hit your neighbours at the end, because then it's too late.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? They sided with the wrong person. But he just came out and he just went... And I don't see the end of this. Like...
No. And the one that makes me laugh is like, oh, yeah, no, I'm going to put tariffs on, but not on the automotive industry. And, I might do it just for 20 days or 30 days.
I think this is an own goal for Trump.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call it 1-1. Rest of the world won.
Yeah.
Trump won.
Yeah.
That's a big L. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know what to say about this one other than I can't believe this video was sent out. I can't believe he's saying what he's saying. Just watch the video. The only thing that makes me sort of think rationally...
Tell people what the video's about. What are you referring to?
Well, basically, the video is that Trump has taken over Gaza, turned it to the Riviera of the Middle East. There's you got a picture of him and Netanyahu sunbathing at Trump Gaza. You've got Hamas people dressed as belly dancers dancing. You've even got bits of Musk throwing dollars in the air, when they do to strippers and all that. When I first saw this, I thought it's just somebody had put it on. It was an official release, and that's what I cannot believe. The only positive of this, and if he intended this, then he's a genius, right? That the Arab nations have come together and said they will rebuild Gaza. They will pay, they've allocated the money, etc. If that's what he intended, he's a frigging genius. But other than that, he's a despicable human being if that's not what it is. But, like I say.
Andrew, I think this is just bants.
Yeah.
This is just accidental bants. Like the genius bit, I can't attribute it to Trump as much as I wanted him to be a genius.
Yeah.
Right? No one is that level of genius. No one is that level of genius here. And if he was that level of genius, he would have done it in a prettier way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
There's no way. This is. I don't even think this is an own goal or a goal. This is a glitch. This is a
You know,
glitch.
you're being very kind calling it a glitch. I think a glitch is when you've made a mistake. I think this guy has deliberately did this, as I say, either as a genius or either as a, you know
A
what?
monkey. A monkey.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we should skip over this. I don't even think it warrants our time or anybody else's time. I think it's despicable, and let's move on.
Yeah, all right. So no goal, no on goal, just
Yeah, yes.
nah. Oh,
Yeah. So again, this is a very, this sort of touched me a little bit because, the land of democracy, the land of free speech, the land of this, that, and the other, and Guantanamo Bay has been reopened. And for those who are too young to know what Guantanamo Bay is, just do some Google searches on it. It's where people disappear without trial, without charge. There's stories of torture, there's stories of interrogation, waterboarding, and all of the horrific things that you hear. That's one point. And then we've got the mass deportation. But this place should have stayed closed, in my opinion, and it's being reopened.
there is. Look, there's no right or wrong answer, in my opinion, but as someone who's been to Colombia in the last 2 or 3 years and spoken to some people there are a lot of people back in the US that do have criminal records.
Yeah.
Have
Absolutely.
I know a couple, I'll say that much, right? That got chucked out of the US and are now back in the US. And they're not great contributors to society. I'm not saying they're doing anything bad right now. They've probably taken their second chance and doing normal things. But they definitely don't deserve to be back there in the land of opportunity. And also, I know that people did see it as a free ticket, an open ticket, open doors. I think I'll go to the US. So there is a lot of illegal immigration. And I'm just talking anecdotally from my experience, from my conversations, my experience. However, it is a minority. I do believe that the immigration is always good. Not always. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like
of course it's good. Yeah.
Not
right
all
immigration.
Not all. Even illegal immigrants. Not all illegal immigrants are there to do anything nefarious. A lot of them are just there to make a bloody living, and they don't even use the tax system or anything like that. They just. Do you know what I mean? They just they contribute and they just want to be silent and build their wealth and maybe go back home one day, or they want to become such good citizens and contributors that eventually they get their chance to be a US citizen and they end up being very grateful members of society. The military aircraft being used, I mean, the problem is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because if you're sending these people on commercial airlines, that money starts adding up.
Yeah. No, right. it wasn't the use of military aircraft. It was the lack of respect, but not informing prior to say
with Colombia, they were informed.
Oh well, there you go.
They were informed.
Right.
They already knew that agreement had been made. There isn't really a leg to stand on in that area.
So for me, the reason I sort of mentioned this about the mass deportation, I mean, Guantanamo Bay, I've said my piece on that, but mass deportation, and you've put it very eloquently. Just because you're an illegal immigrant doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Yeah, I just think that. Again, the revoking of green cards for certain people because they've
absolutely
whatever. I just. It's the sweeping statement side of things, I mean, when I went,
people voted in, Andrew.
I know. I mean, I went to Miami, as you know, a few weeks back with work, and I struggled to communicate because nobody spoke English, right? So I can see the Americans going, "Hang on a second, all of So you get behind it, but it's that sweeping statement, and yes, anybody that immigrates to another country and breaks laws and and does things like that, absolutely, they should be all rounded up and sent back. It's just this sweeping statement that he uses
they're all rapists. They're all rapists,
and they're going to eat your cats and dogs and all of that sort of stuff.
Absolutely,
but it wins votes. It wins votes.
And this is the thing, and he's doing it. I call it 2-1 to Trump.
Yeah, agreed.
Because it's what people voted in, and we're in democracy now. Whether the people are wrong, that's a whole different question mark. But I think he's managed this one like a boss.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what the figures are, but all I keep hearing is that Obama deported more
He's the
people.
master port. He's the master port,
Yeah,
and this is the point. Again, his figures still haven't even met
no,
Obama's figures.
no,
Yet Obama was held as the yes we can, the ethical man, all the types of stuff. So
yeah,
I call BS on this one.
yeah,
I think this is cat shit with
yeah.
a bit of glitter in it, repackaged as dog shit. Like, sorry for my swearing, but like it's the same thing that's always been on the agenda. I don't think this is a loss for Trump. If anything, I think he's used it. I think he's used it as a lever to be popular.
Oh, absolutely,
and
absolutely.
I did what I said I was going to do, and what you voted me to do. I think this is 2-1. I think this is 2-1.
Agreed.
Okay, next. Oh God. So what's this all about, Andrew?
So this one is basically he wants Greenland. Trump said that first he was going to buy Greenland and now he just wants to take it. And there are many reasons behind this, but the reason that he's claiming is for the national security of the US, because it's a buffer between them and Russia. And Greenland is actually a part of Denmark, which I didn't know until this whole thing came up. And the Greenlanders are telling him to F off, but he's actually got lobbyists in there because there's an election coming up quite soon. Actually got lobbyists in there promising that Trump will make them rich, Trump will make them comfortable, and they'll be able to go to America and this, that, and the other. And obviously the other one that I've got there is the Panama Canal, although we haven't heard much about that recently because of the Greenland thing. But I just love the audacity of it.
Can I comment about Panama Canal?
Please do.
Well, if America gets to take it back, because apparently they invested all the money in it.
Yeah.
It was actually originally Colombia's.
I know.
So
that's why I put it on there.
Under that principle, do you know what I mean? Give it back. Yeah. Do you know what? Sod them. That's what the 51st state should be. Panama.
And it's on the same topic. He's now not only wants countries, but he wants to rename oceans, and that's on the next slide.
Yeah, I think this is a loss for Trump.
Yeah, this is definitely a loss.
I think this is making him look batshit crazy, right? Yeah, I don't see him pulling off any of this.
No, not at all.
Especially in 5 or 6 years. Nah, it's not happening. And furthermore, this is a loss. So I think it's 2-2 now.
2-2, yep.
2 for anti-Trump, 2 for Trump.
And 1-0.
One's just whatever. Oh,
yeah, I just put this on there because I just thought it was funny. You know, the fact that
this is another L. Hey, no one cares about.
No one cares.
I'm not calling it the Gulf of America.
No.
I don't even, what's the original name? Is it the Gulf of Mexico?
Gulf of Mexico, yeah.
Mexicans will call it the Gulf of Mexico.
So will most people.
Americans will call it the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
Pilots are still going to call it secretly the Gulf of Mexico. Apart from the, did you see the video that they gave of Air Force One going, "We are now approaching what used to be the Mexican Gulf, and it's now the Gulf of America." And he went,
USA.
Mate, get the hell out of here! We're calling it the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And this is useless, isn't it? I mean, literally, what do we gain as a
nothing?
Species?
Nothing.
This is an L. Outside of America, absolutely no one cares.
I don't think some people in America care either, to be honest.
No. Of course not. But I'm saying there are a portion of voters that care about this.
Yeah.
But my main point is this: this actually does make Trump and the American people look absolutely stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Like this one is. I think it's unfalsifiable that. Everyone out there is like, out of all the bloody problems that we have in the world, this is what you decide to focus your first 50 to 60 days on?
I know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a loss. This is a loss. So
definite loss.
I'm going to call it a 3-2 to the opposition.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong way.
My bad. All right. Oh, my God. Here we go.
Yeah, so...
All right. This one in itself could be an episode. Yeah. Go on, Andrew.
Well, I just think that this is a major shot in their own feet. I think, again, there's that underlying, let's appeal to the crowd by talking about the diversity. We don't need that and we don't need this. But I think what this is doing, and, you know, correct me if you disagree, I think this is playing right in China's hands, to be honest, with the US aid cuts. So US aid is basically gives millions and millions to the poorer countries all over the world, but especially in Africa. There's a lot of money going towards HIV treatment, water, disease, etc. And there's a lot of countries that have been depending on it for years and years. And now it's been cut. There was a really interesting article about some of the villages in Kenya that were on their last bits of medication, from children to mothers to whoever. And they don't know where they're going to get this medication from. But in the meantime, while America is looking like it's abandoned Africa, China is doing the opposite. China is building hospitals, building schools, building infrastructure, roads, and really making investment. And don't get me wrong, they're not doing it for the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they need the minerals and the resources in Africa.
They're trying to be a global power too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they need all of those resources to keep their manufacturing going. It's as simple as that. Perhaps it may, I agree sometimes that you have to look at home first. I mean, look at the fires that they've had. Look at the floods that they've had. Look at New Orleans. How long ago was Hurricane Katrina? It's still a shambles. So I agree in some respect that you should look at maybe prioritising, before you start helping others. But again, I think it's too fast, too quickly, and it's just playing in China's hands.
Andrew, I would have agreed with you up till about a week ago.
Okay, all right, interesting.
I was completely with you, and now I'm questioning myself. And why is that the case? I still stand by the message that I don't think this is actually going to uncover much inefficiency in the grand scheme of things, right? A lot of these stories are anecdotal. So I spoke about the fact that apparently they discovered people that were being paid social payments for 300 years or 150 years, and people being paid social security for like hundreds and hundreds of years. And then I looked underneath the hood, and it turned out that actually hardly anyone was getting overpaid social security, because they had already cleaned that up. So they were just resurfacing old news. The scandal about 1 million condoms in Gaza, yeah.
Correct.
But it wasn't Gaza in Palestine. No. It was Gaza in Mozambique.
Correct.
Right. So all of these things, and you go, oh, hold on a second, that's not exactly the big headline that they rushed to tell the world.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, this isn't going to be that effective. This is just nonsense. I'm not sure if you're aware, Andrew, but we've just started copying the US, and we've decided to close down NHS Digital.
Yep.
Because apparently it's replicating work.
Yep.
And today we had a fabulous headline which highlighted that 600 and I believe it was 643 million a year is being spent on credit cards by civil servants.
Right. Oh yeah.
That was today's headline. And
well, that's nothing new though, Mincy. That's the problem. Those credit cards and things are nothing new.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Those headlines are as old as dirt. Just like the Dodge. Just like the Dodge talking points. There was already a Doge before Doge. It just wasn't called Doge. This is the same cat shit rewrapped as dog shit or whatever it is, right? And the point I'm trying to make is this: but the publicity and the distraction that's being caused by the political parties, that's new.
Yeah.
And this is the point I'm trying to make. I would have said this was unsuccessful because there was hardly any credibility behind a lot of the discoveries that he was saying that, because they were talking about reducing a $3 trillion deficit.
Correct.
The findings that they were getting, nowhere near that. There's no way, they're not on track for any of that.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to start making stuff up or resurfacing old efficiencies and republishing them as new efficiencies, which is what Elon Musk has kind of been revealed to do if you look underneath the hood. So I thought, oh, this is going to lose credibility until the UK started to recently talk about it, which is this week. And what that's made me realize is Doge has been a success in terms of capturing hearts and minds and making a presidency or a 50 or 60-day term look much more productive than it really is. So that's why I say this is a W. This is a political W for Trump.
Do you reckon?
Because it's done its job. It's distracted its own nation.
Right, yeah, fair enough. If you're going to put it that way, yeah, fair enough. So these are the headlines, right? So when you look at over the last 50 days, I've looked at some of the headline, and a lot of them are relating to the slides that we've gone through. The ones that sort of stand out to me, just purely for personal financial reasons, is the stock market. Yep. The share prices plummeting because I did not expect it from a Trump presidency. Yeah, I thought it'd be the opposite.
That's where you and I completely divide. I've been saying that this was going to happen for about 2 or 3 years now. That certain markets are overvalued, that spending, blah, blah, blah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's saying, oh, how is this happening? The retail space is dying. We've been saying, oh, how did we let China overcome our vehicle thing? Why are the factories closing up in Nissan, the Vauxhall factory here in the UK, and that factory and the other factory, all that stuff. The point I'm trying to say is the writing was on the wall.
But why did it happen so suddenly?
He's a catalyst.
Yeah,
of course.
Right.
Of course. So I agree. Was Trump the catalyst? But was this crap underneath the hood there anyway? Like, all we've been doing is delaying a recession. And
absolutely.
This is where I'm not going to defend Trump, but I do think that this was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. And I do wonder whether the Trump administration has been purposely controlling the price of the market by doing
do you know what? I've got to agree with you. I've been wondering that. And I'm no expert on these things, as it comes across very, very plainly. But I even think that the previous government was hiding a lot of stuff, or covering up, bolstering certain sectors. And now, as you say, the emperor's lost its clothes.
Andrew, at the beginning of this podcast, I said the reason why I was pro-Trump was because if the economy continued under Joe Biden, if the economy continued to be the way it was, we were going to be in deep trouble. That's why I thought Trump would come into place. Now, where I was wrong is I thought somehow that Trump was going to do some magic in the background and do this softly. What I didn't count on was that he was just going to rant and say everything that was in his mind and get this to crash. Somehow I thought that he would do some legislation to help his country battle China, create that tariff battle, and get more people collaborating with the US, and then make America stronger. And I thought somehow, some way, we could kind of bridge the gap.
He's got a plan.
No. What I didn't expect was that the plan was, let's screw this up by saying all these tariff things, get the share price value down, and get it to actually what it really costs.
Let's summarise. So we've got, like it says there, we've got some inflation happening in America. We've got some financial uncertainty. We've got job losses happening because of the cuts. We've got tariff wars, and we've got the international reputation being tarnished. And and that includes the Danish telling him to F off, the French calling him Brutus or whatever of Europe, and Europe now has to stand alone because America is a traitor. The Canadians are now grown some testicles and they're standing on their own 2 feet or going towards Europe, and the Chinese saying bring it on. When you read it like that, it doesn't sound great, and maybe we should have started the show with this slide, but it's certainly not been boring.
Andrew, it hasn't been boring. And I would say one thing. The one where I would say is definitely a loss. I think as you've done that summary, this is also a loss for Trump. I would take You know why? It's the last point where you've really...
Well, that's the one I think that's hurt him the most.
It's the last point. It's the international reputation. I could be devil's advocate and spin, if we go back to this, I could say, oh yeah, maybe he was right about Ukraine. The trade wars, well, there's still more to be unearthed about this. We'll see. Gaza, well, that's whatever it is. Migration, oh well, that was always going to happen anyway. He used it to his strength. Greenland, well, what the hell's that all about? You look stupid. Renaming the seas, oh my god, bloody terrible. Doge, I think they played it very well as a distraction tool. I don't think they were actually going to shave $1 trillion at all. But then all of that. So if you add up all of his wins, and then say ultimately outside of America, most countries are looking at America like they're a dirty country.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They feel betrayed. Yeah, they can't. They've lost trust. They think, it's a joke. It's become a bit of a circus at some points. And, unlike us, there aren't a lot of people out there that saw that Zelensky farce and then thought, oh, hang on a second. There's people out there still seeing as poor old Zelensky got thrown to the lions. But yeah, that international reputation, I think, has certainly been tarnished, certainly.
And for the first time ever, dare I say it, Andrew, please correct me, it's actually hitting the reputation of Americans. Yeah. What do I mean by that? I mean, they've just done a poll, he's got the highest approval ratings.
Really?
Yeah, apparently he's still got a high approval rating. Been a press release, Trump ties for the highest approval he's ever had. As more Americans say, US is on the right track than any time in the last 20 years.
Fair enough. What can you say to that?
But there are also people that just go, oh my God, this is so bad. And the strategy, we're still yet to know whether the strategy is a good strategy. But one thing today, the international reputation is 100% tarnished.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Questionably, people outside of the US, across Europe, definitely across South America, are thinking, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, agreed.